Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. 2/3 of the crew, myself, Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, aka Big Steve, joined by EJ, just EJ, no additional names, no Savage, no sophisticated Savage, no nothing, just EJ, just a changed man. EJ, the domesticated one. On this fine February Sunday, February 23rd. What is today? 23rd day of Black History Month.
Yeah, almost over.
Almost over. Yeah, they calling for it. They calling for it to be over. Shit, you know, we out there cooning and shit, showing up at the White House.
Yeah,
They, they're not showing. They're not
we as a
showing
people,
the you know the successful ones. They're not showing the ones that are on the right side of Black History Month. They're showing the ones that are just trying to, like Boozy. Boozy just trying to get a pardon. He been crying for a pardon since before Trump won.
listen, man. I mean, the successful ones got enough bandwidth, enough power to do their own thing. Have their own kind of special and concert. And why don't we have a concert from the big names for Black History Month?
Hmm. Hmm. Good question. Everybody want to do it when it's convenient. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Everyone is. These people are opportunistic. Like that's the reality of it. Opportunistic individuals.
And Malcolm X said that years, obviously years ago, but Malcolm X said it. You can't depend on these celebrities who ultimately are slaves to money to do anything to push the people forward because they're gonna get in bed with money before anything else.
I don't know. I don't know if I like Red or if I like my Malcolm X better. Who do you like better? Red was for went around smashing white broads. Like you know,
Definitely Malcolm.
that's
Definitely
my
Malcolm.
dog. Red is my dog. I think Red is my spirit animal. Like I think you got to be a little bit of Red and a little bit of Malcolm. Like if you want a equal balance, like you got to know the priorities and be on the right side of things. But you gotta be willing to get out there and get gritty, get dirty, and do what it do. And that was Red.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Red was the junkie, so
I mean,
that would that wouldn't last long.
I'm not saying you gotta be a junkie. I'm just saying, you
Just a little
know,
savage.
yeah, he was getting to he look. You gotta do what you gotta do at one point, man. At some point in life. What was your week like, yo?
Um, Nothing eventful, man. Just DC's been crazy, man. Federal employees return to work. They look sick.
Oh,
Everything is
they about to get sicker.
yeah.
Ooh, your boy Elon came
The
out
trains
yesterday
are
talking about. I sent the email, and if y'all don't respond, we gonna take that as resignation.
yeah, it's crazy, man. And the trains are more packed and people are
Warning.
just upset. They just it just feels nasty out there, man.
I
Feels
bet.
nasty out there.
I bet.
Yeah.
We got some spring training football or baseball rather.
Baseball.
That
Yes.
that hit. Your how you feeling about your Mets? Big dog Juan Soto left the Yankees, went to the Mets. First at bat, spring training, took him yard.
It's a good sign. You can stay healthy. It's a good sign. The Mets quietly have been trying to load the team, so I won every year. I won a World Series, Subway Series. So, if both teams can push for that, I'll be a happy person. You know.
Yeah, I was thinking if I can't make it up there for the Orioles and the Yankees, and maybe I can make it up there for the Subway Series. We got to check tickets on that. I think it's like May 16th or something like that.
Mm, okay.
That'd be interesting.
Indeed. Indeed.
That'd be
Indeed. I haven't been to a Yankees home game in a million years.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't been. I've been last time I was up there to Yankee. The new Yankee Stadium was shit. Had to be like 2012, man. Something like that. It was a minute ago.
Yeah,
Been a minute.
I haven't been to the new stadium. I've
Oh,
only
okay.
been since it was the old one. So
Well, there you go. Maybe we need to
yeah.
make that happen. Uneventful week for me too, man. Worked obviously the regs. You know, it's like Groundhog Day, but we had some good weather. At least good weather for me because I like the coolness of it. We had some 60s and in the evenings dropping to 50s and such. So you go outside and you get that brisk feeling up your nose. That was nice. I think this is
Hmm.
probably our last stretch, hopefully, of cool weather. I think we probably got about another week of it by the looks of the forecast. So beautiful days coming though. Mid 70s. That Southern California weather. It's about to be really nice out this coming week. So um, and cool in the
Nice.
evening. Y'all still dealing with snow?
No, not currently. It's a little warm today. However, I just saw on the news that New York is going to be colder than Alaska soon, so that'll definitely have some impact on us.
Calling in,
So I guess a
calling
cold
in
front
Alaska.
is coming. No,
Oh,
no,
they
no.
got
New York is
another.
supposedly going to be colder than Alaska.
I did see that. I did see that. I wonder if it's just cold or if there's gonna be snow coming with that. Oh well,
Kind of got to assume both.
yeah, man. It's cool. It's cool. Hopefully, we get some of that down here. I like it. I like it. Turn off the AC. It's not too cold, so don't really need the heat. Maybe at night for a little minute, if anything. But
Hmm.
it's all good. But all right. So what's going on? What did we have happen this week? What do we have that is worthy of casting about? 50 Cent and Joe Budden. I think that's a good starting point.
That's where I was going.
50 Cent and Joe Budden. 50 been on Joe ass. 50 pause and 50 be on everybody ass.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, Irv Gotti passed away recently. Rest in peace, Irv. I think we missed that. And in one of Joe Budden's pods, probably 2 episodes ago, he paid his homage to Irv. Apparently they knew each other, worked together, whatever. Him and Ja Fly, um, Joe and Fly, Joe and Ja, and in the process of that, he mentioned 50 calling out Irv after he passed, talking about he's smoking on an Irv pack and um, all that fun stuff, and basically saying, let the man rest, and saying 50 needed some counseling because he moved to that. So or therapy.
Hmm.
And 50 doesn't take lightly to that. If you know anything about 50, if you cool with his if you fresh with his op, you his op. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's always up with Fifth. So he's been posting some vids and pictures of Joe. Joe had his sleepwalking thing where he was sleepwalking naked and pretty much got kicked out of his spot for a little bit. And so 50's been kind of clowning off of that and trolling off of that, and it came back this morning. But how you feel about that?
I mean, to your point, 50 is a cold. He seems like it's two things that you hear about him, right? He's ruthless, but he'll also, if he rocks with you, he's gonna give you everything he can. He's gonna help you out. He's gonna do everything he can. And we see just recently that Big Meech coming home, messing with Rick Ross. So now Fifth when I Meech, he's like, yo, I had this information about snitching, something I've heard for a long time. And when you look at it, it's like took care of Meech's son, gave him an acting start, did all these good things. And the moment he feels, his pops is in line with the ops, he had to cut him off and going to with Irv. You know, Irv aligned himself with someone that Fifth personally knows attempted to take his life. And to Queen's Flip's point on the pod, on the JBP pod, you know, this guy is gonna ever feel that way about these people. And they had running after running, they had long beef in the street. People were getting shot, stabbed in the street. So, while it may be callous and it might be cold to the average person, 50 is no average person. And when you've involved, life or death matters into it, someone has the right to feel that way. Should they air it out that way? Is that what we really want to see as a culture, as a people? Probably not. But Joe should have known better. And taking that stance, you know what I'm saying? Um, taking that stance was, you was hanging yourself out there for Fifth to come at you. And this is par for the course. Like LeVar is saying, this is 50. This is who he's been. And again, he's talking about someone for years who not only aligned themselves with someone who tried to kill him, but two, tried to blackball him from getting started.
Yeah, I mean it's Fifth, right? So, or I mean, I look, I'm not gonna say I can't wait, but that was probably not the best way to position it. But it's gonna be interesting to see if 50 outlasts Ja Rule, what that looks like. If Ja, when Ja Rule transitions, hopefully it's years from now, right? 20, 30, 40 years, whatever that looks like. But it's gonna be interesting to see what Fifth does with that because that's where the real beef is. But um, kind of rewind a little bit. You talked about the Meech thing, right? And like I get, you said he took care of Lil Meech and blah blah blah. But was that just opportunity? You know what I mean? Did he just see money and opportunity there? Like he sold the Big Meech story. There's a reason behind it. You know what I mean? Like you're not it's not like you made Big Meech. Big Meech is a story on its own. He's got history to him, and you use that story to make a lot of money and make a very successful TV show. Of course, you pulled his son and put him through acting classes because he looked like him and all this. So I could see that, but the man just came out of jail. Like if I just laid down for however long he laid down, let me tell you something. I'm gonna go get it how I can. And if Ross is calling me saying, "Yo, come to my car show and I'm gonna pay you 3 million or whatever that looks like," why wouldn't I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's an opportunity out there and you got to go
The,
get it.
the problem with that is, well, Fifth got the movie rights. He didn't sell them. He got the rights to be and everything. Um, and he could have taken any other actor to play Big Meech. He didn't have to use his son. And he did hold him down, and he gave him opportunities like club appearances, constant checks. The other thing with that is, Fifth has been known to help you out, but he's not going to just give you a lump of cash. And the crazy part is when Meech went in the line with Ross and set up this concert, when it shut down, Ross basically left him high and dry. So, you had an opportunity there to where Fifth has this series. He has this opportunity. There are probably stories that Meech hasn't told that people don't know about that Fifth could have inserted him into the show, gave him some long opportunity. And to your point, Meech ran to the money, ran to the ops, and that wasn't a great idea because it backfired. The concert got shut down. Now people are gonna know about your history of cooperation. It's gonna be bad. The BMF name going forward, all because of a quick little come up. The BMF name is now in jeopardy. So I
Yeah.
don't think it was a smart move. It didn't show any loyalty because BMF is all standing on loyalty. Yeah, I understand that Ross might have had a bag opportunity for you, but Fifth has been there for your family. he's he's reinvigorated the BMF name, giving you something to look forward to going forward. The last thing you probably should have did was go mess with the ops. And I mean, these guys in the feds, they got access to information. They know what's going on. So you knew that the beef with him was up and it was long, long standing. So this wasn't a good idea. And
Yeah.
seemingly backfired, It's looking bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think aligning with either one of them, Ross or 50, they're both businessmen, right? Ross got it. And Fifth got it. So I don't think there's any wrong answer there when you talk about Big Meech choosing which one he's going to align with or aligning with the two of them. But yeah, fast forward to Joe Budden though. Um, he basically spoke about Fifth talking about Irv, and like, look, we come from, depending on where you come from, you can have an understanding of this. Like, depending on where you come from, it's up. It's beef is beef. Like, there's somebody today that if they die, I probably smoke a celebratory cigar. There's only one in this world, only one. Um, and so I get it. I get it. From what Fifth is talking about. But to publicize it when you have 50, however many million, you know, followers and subscribers and things like that is a whole nother thing, right? And so that's what I think Joe was talking about, and just saying, like, look, where we come from as people, we need therapy, yo, to think that that's okay. And myself included, right? To think about that one person. I know the person got kids and all of that, but guess what? If you go, you go. Is what it is. Um, and so now he's on the Joe Budden train, and trolling him and all of that. And Joe seemingly said on his pod, like, right now I'm getting money from it because it's clicks, it's likes or whatever. But if it were to turn into something else, then we get the lawyers involved. And so 50 doubled down this morning. And so I ask you, right? I was looking at the comments, and again, we know that's what Fifth is going to do. But reading through the comments on the picture this morning, and even the one that he posted a couple days ago, I'm starting to see people talk about, like, all right, it's getting corny now. Like, it's all negativity with you. Like, every time we see you pop up on the timeline, it's negativity towards another individual. It's negativity towards one of us. Like, it's rarely that he makes it up, visually like that with someone other than us. You know what I mean? And that's what the comments are starting to read like. So I'm wondering, you as a Fifth fan, and I'm a 50 fan as well. Um, do you think that's just his personality? You think it's time for him to, like, you know, use his platform for something else, or kind of move away from just it just seems pretty immature, and that's what people are starting to say.
Yeah, he's a complex individual, man. He's a guy, again, who has brought a culture forward. He has brought people up and out of their situations oftentimes, but he's also someone who's lived through something not many people in this world can talk about. Being shot multiple times and nearly dying, that changes you. I think every situation shouldn't get this energy, because it does kind of look crazy when you're like, this dude is 50 years old, you know, millionaire, all of this stuff. It's kind of sad for the culture to see that behavior.
Hmm.
And I don't think in this situation with Joe that it initial post, but yeah, it does kind of get tiring as a Fifth fan to be like, damn, again. But I mean, when we talking about it not leaving the culture, I mean, he doesn't really have too many issues with other people. And I mean, when he does, he equal opportunity to everybody. He does talk about anybody and anyone that says something negative to him. But it does kind of make you wonder, man, at 50 years old, millions of dollars, when does enough
Billions.
become enough for you? Yeah, when does enough become enough for you? But he's he's different, man. He's wired different.
Yeah, as we welcome VP to the pod. I'm sure you heard some of it, and hopefully you're familiar with the situation. If not, I'm sure you're familiar with 50 being a troll, and how do you feel about it? Like I'm seeing in the comments, like use your platform for positive. You don't have the smoke for X person. We don't see you using this when it means moving black people forward or anything like that. Like I just wonder if y'all feel that way. Or do y'all feel like
Man,
50 is responsible for that? Like I know EJ, you said in the past, we shouldn't depend on celebrities and musicians to be the one to move us forward. So I just wonder if y'all feel that way.
I just think with 50, um, like the stuff that EJ said about him or whatever, like all due respect, I just think it's bullshit. And the reason why I say that is
Which
that
one? What part of it?
I'm like the preamble part of it,
All of it?
like the lead up. No, like the preamble, like the
Oh, him helping people out and shit.
he's going through all this stuff. He's been shot and all that. Like we're talking about a 49-year-old guy who is a multi-millionaire who spends all of his time trolling people online. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point you have to fucking grow up. You know what I mean? Like that's what we teach our children, right? Like there's a way that children resolve problems, and then there's a way that adults resolve problems. You know what I'm saying? And this dude spends all of his time online acting like a fucking man child. You know what I'm saying? And this shit is there's no excuse for that. You know what I'm saying? Like you have children, you have multiple businesses that you run, you got a show that you or multiple shows that you executive produce. I don't know if he's still doing music or maybe he's producing music or whatever, but like your hands are in like a million different pies, and yet you still find time for this insanely childish shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is that there's no excuse for that.
That's what it looks like, yo. That's what it looks like in the comments. People, like, I get it, man. You control, and if you're gonna get up there and say something, cool. But to ride it on for a week or 2 weeks and make 50 different posts or 40 different posts and start posting people's personal stuff, like that's where it gets crazy. Like it's fine if you come out and be like, yo, Joe, and from what I understand, him and Joe are fly for the most part. Like I mean, they're not friends or anything, but they don't got problems. Listen to Joe's pod and the history of them. It sounds like they're fly like that. So either give me the phone call, or even if you're gonna drop it, be like, "Yo, Joe, you said this, blah 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 blah." But after the first post or the first two posts, even the first day, like we're talking about, this is like day 10 of the Joe Budden dirt drag of 50. You know what I'm
And,
saying? And
and this is what's also foul about the shit, right? Like I don't necessarily care about like how people use their platform, right? And what I mean by it is that I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, you have a platform, you got to be out there fighting for climate change or getting people to register to vote and shit like that. If you don't want to be involved in any of that kind of stuff, it's all good, right? But to publicly drag somebody nonstop when you have a platform as big as that. Not know we talk every week when we're doing the in show about checking in on folks because you never know like where they're at mentally. You know what I mean? You don't ever know where their headspace is. And to use your platform to just publicly drag somebody nonstop. And then we know how people are on the internet in the commenters. Like Steve is saying how some commenters are saying like, yo, like, like enough is enough and all that kind of thing like that. But that's not usually the majority of the comments. The majority of the comments are usually amplifying this stuff and going even harder, because people are brave behind the keyboard and stuff. And who's to say that this man or whatever person it is that's being dragged by 50 this week doesn't read that stuff and it's putting them in a worse space? You know what I'm saying? Like just be a better person.
So to respond to everything you said, I literally said everything you said. Me giving you the context of who 50 is it isn't bullshit. It speaks to the fact that this person, to Joe Budden's point, needs some type of mental healing because of the things that he's experienced. Don't matter if you're 50, don't matter if you're 70, don't matter if you're 10. You know, things that happen in people's lives shape their mentality. Does it make it right? Not at all. And to 50's point, fifth to VP's point about, wondering how this person feels or what they're going through, Fifth doesn't give a fuck. And and that's just what it is. Like it's distasteful. It's like I said, at this point, it's like you see this guy at this age and everything he's accomplished, and you would want to see more. You would think that you would see more. You would think you would see better. But honestly, he just don't give a fuck. That's just what it is. Like we could worry about what we want to see in the game that we want to be played. It's just what it is.
I hear what you're saying, EJ. I guess I'm looking at it more from this standpoint, right? We're definitely, we're definitely who we are based on all of our life experiences, right? But while our life experiences do shape us into the people that we are, we have the ability to change the person who we are, right? For myself, I've talked on the pod, I've talked to you guys in chat. I don't have the best relationship with my dad. You know what I'm saying? So that don't mean when I had my son that I treat him like shit. I try to make sure that I'm a good father to him. I don't say, well, we mean shit. My relationship, my dad was bad, so that means I get to treat you like a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like that's what I mean
But
when I
it, but
say
it,
bullshit. Is that
but it actually, though, VP, if you think about it, because I don't have one with mine either, and so that very same aspect of not having it probably motivated us to do the exact opposite, right? So it all has an impact on us, and we all can't speak from a vantage point of someone who was literally gunned down and had the only person that's cared for him have to watch him lie in a pool of almost lose his life. I don't know what that's like. So I can't sit here and try to be in someone else's shoes and try to make excuses for it. Granted, we're saying the same thing in that, you would love to believe that a person at 49 going on 50 with millions of dollars, billions of dollars would do the right thing, but that ain't always how life works, right? So again, I say that to say, we would like to hope to see that 50 would do better, especially in this Joe Budden instance. I don't even think he said anything warranting the attack, but this is 50. He don't care.
right? And I hear what you're saying, and I agree that we're saying most of the same thing. But what I when I'm saying is BS. I guess I feel like the whole, he got shot and all this kind of stuff like that. While yeah, none of us knows what that's like. Most of us won't know what that's like. Hopefully, you know what I mean. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever. But I do feel like most of us will probably say, man, I was trying to come up in the game, and whatever happened back then. I don't know if it was something to do with the music, something to do with the street life, maybe a little bit of both, causing that incident happen. But you would think this person would say, I was trying to get in the game. This thing happened to me. I survived it. And just like anybody who's trying to, play professional sports or whatever, I probably had a less than 1% chance of becoming a rapper that made it and becoming as successful as I've been. So you know what? Life's too short, and I know this literally from experience. So let me kick back somewhere and just do me. And
Don't
instead
put
of doing
myself
that,
back in that situation.
right. And instead of doing that, it's just nonstop beef. You know what I'm saying?
But
And
again, you
it's
have
one
to
thing.
you have to remember, you got to remember, and you missed the part of the fact that not only did he get shot, but these people continued to try to block his path to success, continued to have him get attacked physically or be attacked physically and financially, going on and on and on. So this is 20 years worth of shit back and forth. And Irv
Mhm.
Gotti made no bones about it. He kept it real. He was like, yo, we feel the same way about him, the same way he feels about us. So I mean,
Well, I think
I
like
think to your point, he's never been given a chance to go past that life. He's kind of still one foot in it, one foot out, based on the shit
Right.
he's
But
been going through.
but I would also But I would also say, real quick, Steve, before you jump back in, but I would also say, with the Irv Gotti thing, like Steve mentioned, like he has a person that he don't care for, whatever, right? And I get that, but it's not just with Irv. It's not like him and Irv Gotti and the Murder Inc. folks are mortal enemies and they're gonna hate each other forever, right? This is 50 with everybody. It don't matter if it's Irv Gotti, the Ja Rule, anybody associated with Murder Inc., Joe Budden, Diddy, Rick Ross, anybody. Anytime somebody's down bad, 50's on social media shitting on them.
Mhm.
You know
And
what I'm
it's not
saying? And so, and that's why I say, like, the whole, he got shot, they came at him, so he's just all smoke, all gas, no brakes or whatever. I get that with the people that you have personal animosity with, you know what I'm saying? But for people that you have nothing going on with at all, to just say, oh, this person's hurting, let me jump in and poke him. This person's burning, let me pour some gas on the fire. That seems like that's 50. It's like he's out there searching for, man, who's down bad today. You know what I mean? Like, who can I shit on today? You know what I'm saying? And that's fucked up.
Yeah, it's like he fuels his success off of other people's downfalls. And like I agree. I think I was about to say the same thing you said, VP. Like from EJ's standpoint, EJ's highlighting him getting shot and dealing with the beef with Murder Inc. and Irv, right? And I'm with that. I'm with the shits when it comes to that. I told you, man. Like I don't know if you've ever had. And for me, I didn't even get shot. I just got sucker punched. And I still to this day hope, you know what I'm saying, that I see the post on Facebook about this dude. So I could see that. It's the other stuff. It's the Joe Budden, it's the Diddy, it's the dudes that have,
He don't fuck with
no
them. He don't have no. He don't
physical,
fuck with
none of these dudes
Diddy
have
and
done
him.
any
Don't have
grave
good history.
danger to this dude. They've been on music
Diddy and him
together.
don't have good history.
Look, man. At some point, yo, at 50 years old, you got to grow. And it's not even from the fact of just growing up. It's what business ventures are you now missing out on? Like, I get it. You're at a Billy and you're doing your own thing and you're EPing things and stuff like that, right? And you're successful. You've made it. But what business ventures are you potentially missing out on because you're tied up in this? I'm sure there's bigger plays in the world that he probably would like to be a part of, and the people that are making those decisions are going to turn around and say, do I want to be associated with this guy? You know what I'm saying? I just don't think it's the best. It's his brand,
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's the best brand to
I,
have.
I think he's been dealing with that his whole career. You know what I'm saying? And somehow he's found a way. You got to think when he came out, all the labels didn't want to mess with him because of the history. And I mean, he's doing deals with the Astros, with this organization, that organization. And I think you're right. To some point, you have to question what could or might not happen. But so far he's done what he's done, and like I said, I agree with y'all. I mean, at some point it kind of gets like, come on, bro, like this is enough. But everybody that
Every
he
day you
goes,
wake up.
yeah, everybody that he goes at, he's had issues with. So I mean, it's par for the course. It's par for the
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, man. I'm interested to see where it goes, yo, because Joe Budden on his pod said right now it's making money, but if it stops making money, it turns to the lawyers. And Fifth got it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're threatening to sue somebody who don't got it. You're gonna be in a battle with somebody who got it and who's been down this road a million times. I'm sure everybody that he's done this to, or a good portion of them, have probably tried the lawyer route. Like, you're slandering my name, dog. You got to stop it. um I'm just interested to see if it goes that route, because Fifth doubled down and he doubled back on it this morning.
Yeah,
He
I
was
don't know that that's gonna do anything. I don't know that Joe Budden is gonna take it there. Eventually, Fifth will leave him alone. Eventually, he'll leave him alone. Eventually, but
He just a
yeah,
bully, yo. 50 Cent is the Donald
literally,
Trump
literally,
of the music industry, yo. He just be bullying people.
mm, literally. He'll eventually leave him alone. Fifth don't talk about the game. I mean, again, if it's something that happens, he gonna say it. But he's got beef with Buck in game, and if they, as long as they don't have nothing come out, he don't say nothing about him. But the man's crazy. The man's crazy.
He is. That's a wild thing, man. To know, and then know that, like, if I go out, I don't know who really has animosity towards me from what I've done to their name, like from me dragging them and slandering them.
But
Like that's got to be the other part.
even if you listen to the interviews, right? I forget who it was that was talking about him. It might have been Joe or somebody. They was like, "Yo, this dude fifth rolls with some of the most elite security in the business," and it's like, it's been people that have said on camera, on microphone, we've tried to get him and we couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So again, this dude, this is somebody who knows, like, to your point, is creating unnecessary animosity in his life every day, and he's got it good, and he still don't give a fuck. So I
Yeah,
mean, dealing
you
with different
finally got to
animals.
see. You finally got to see. I was gonna say Black Panther, but what I meant was Black in
Captain
America. Black in America. How did you feel about Captain America? From being our local Marvel expert. Give us your expert
Eh,
review.
I
Make
mean,
it factual too.
solid
Don't put
film.
your emotion in there, dog. I don't want to hear you talk about, the shit is trash. It's too good on TV. The
Nah,
CGI
it
was
was a solid
amazing.
film. Marvel has changed a lot of the stuff they, from the comics. I mean, if you're a pure comic fan, it's not gonna follow your expectations from that realm because they change a lot of the origins of different things. Um, but it's a setup. It's definitely gonna be a setup into the future of the MCU, and I'm sure
VP, you saw it too,
Fantastic
right?
Four will tie a lot
Yeah.
into it.
Okay. I just want to make sure we wasn't spoiling it for VP. And if
Nah,
if
so
you haven't seen Captain America and you plan to see it and you don't want it to be spoiled, now is a good time to exit stage left.
yeah.
What do you
I
think,
saw
VP?
it. I thought that the CGI, I thought the action scenes were done really well. The story itself, I didn't really care for, and I think, it's one thing to, like, when you have new villains and you're trying to introduce these folks to some new character or whatever. I'm fine with that. But to bring back villains from a story, that happened, almost 30 years ago, or almost 20 years ago, or whatever, whenever the first Hulk movie came out, you know, I'm sitting there watching, like they bring these people up and it's like you're supposed to know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know who Ross is, but like the other big brain dude or whatever, I'm like, who is
Mhm.
that? You know, it's like I had to literally, like, go on YouTube to figure out who this dude was or whatever. Um, that I didn't care for. I didn't care for. I thought it was an okay movie, but I didn't. It wasn't all that to me.
I thought it was a good movie, man. I think looking at Anthony Mackie coming from being Papa Doc in 8 Mile and being Tupac in the Biggie movie years ago, to being Captain America and being, the first face in 2025 you see from Marvel, like that's a major accomplishment for him overall. So he definitely deserves his flowers in that regard. He grinded it out. But the one thing that I wish Marvel didn't do is they sold it. They sold it so much as this being heavily a Hulk filled movie.
Yeah,
And you didn't get the Hulk, again, spoiler alert, you didn't get the Hulk until damn near 2 hours, well, hour and 30 minutes into the movie. And then you only get a good
like the last
10
10
minutes,
minutes.
yeah, of the film, and then the shit ends. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I felt like Marvel could have done better with, was that part of it. But I thought they did pretty good with the build up early on, and then I think the middle just kind of got a little bit slow, and then they're like, all right, let's put all the beef at the end. And that was what I thought they could have done better. But overall, like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna downplay a movie where the main character for probably the biggest franchise is a black character, with his second mate, or whatever you want to call him, his right hand man, being half Mexican, half, I think he's Cuban or some shit, or Colombian, one of those. In the climate that we're in today, like, I'm not gonna downplay that. I thought it was a pretty good
Nah,
movie.
I'm fine. I'm fine with Anthony Mackie, getting his flowers. I thought he did a good job of the movie. I just thought the movie itself, no, I didn't watch I don't watch really any of the Disney Plus shows, which is also a problem with the Marvel movies, is that they connect everything in such a way so that if you don't watch the Disney Plus shows, you start off the movies behind, right? So like when the Spanish dude puts on the Falcon costume, I'm like, who the hell is this dude? And then it dawns on me, oh, he probably came up in Disney Plus, but because I don't watch that stuff, I don't know what's going on.
He wasn't.
Well, I mean, but regardless,
he wasn't.
You know what I mean? I didn't know who he was, but anyway, to Steve's point, I thought Anthony Mackie did a good job or whatever. The problem for me was just like the story, right? And Steve makes an excellent point. When you're watching the movie, they're doing this thing with you where they're you don't really know who the villain is, right? Because they're the thing about who set up the deal that Captain America breaks up in the beginning is like this big mystery. And then it's like, man, is it the big brain guy? Is it the girl who's the security person? Is it Gus from Breaking Bad? Giancarlo Esposito, I think is his name. Yeah,
I fuck with him, yo.
Is he the bad guy? And then you got Ross sitting out there, and you're unsure just because you don't really know. Sam keeps alluding to how they've had beef in the past, and so you're kind of left wondering. And then you get to the end, on the ship, he almost becomes Hulk, and you're like, wait, what's happening there? And then finally he becomes Red Hulk, right? But in all of the promotional material, in all of the commercials, they've already shown you that Harrison Ford is Hulk. You know what I'm saying? But when you watch the movie, they're selling it like that's supposed to be a surprise. You know what I'm saying? And when you do stuff like that, it doesn't hit the way that you intended it to hit, and the audience doesn't have the reaction that you expect. And then people feel like me, where it's like, it's the same thing. Remember that Will Smith movie where he plays like an assassin, and then he finds out somebody's coming after him, and they do the big chase scene like 45 minutes into the movie, and you realize it's a clone of him. You know what I'm saying? But in all the poster shows him facing himself. You know what I'm saying? And the whole movie is building up to, man, who's this mysterious assassin? And then you finally see his face, and you're supposed to be like, oh my God, it's Will Smith. But because I saw the poster before I saw the movie, I saw the commercials before I saw the movie, I'm like, yeah, that guy's Will Smith. So it wasn't a big surprise for me. So then when they get to the end, and they're like, how'd you feel about this movie on Rotten Tomatoes and whatever other space where you rate movies? It's like, it's all right. Because you don't have the, like imagine when you went to go see The Sixth Sense in the 90s, and you went in knowing Bruce Willis was dead. Then when you get to the end, you're like, because if you go rewatch The Sixth Sense today, it don't hit the same way when you saw it originally, because you already know Bruce Willis is dead. Maybe you see some stuff you didn't see
you just
originally.
Spoiled that for me. Never watched it.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yankees fan in me was fucking Yankees fan in me was leaking out. Yeah, I mean, I felt like the trailers.
That shit's trash.
I feel like the trailers were absolutely too much, but I've been. I don't know who's doing the editing and cutting on that kind of stuff. And VP's right. In most Marvel films thus far, we've had the big on-screen reveal that has people gasping and clapping and all of that. We didn't get that in this film because we knew everything that was coming out. But to LeVar's point, the comic fans. I mean, some people I've seen. I don't know how you love it purely when they change the whole origin of adamantium. You know what I'm saying? They create this whole new thing for how adamantium arrives and how it comes up, and how they get a hold of it. This whole new story that never existed before. So I don't know, but
I think
it's
people
definitely
love
a
it.
lead off.
I think people love it for what it's leading up to. You talked about that
Hmm.
briefly when you started your your review of it. What it looks like it's leading up to. I think if you're a comic book fan, you're hoping you get everything that you expected from Civil War, right? Everything you expected from Marvel, from the actual Avengers, the real Avengers, everything that has been, you know, left out because of money and contracts and shit like that. And I think we are getting to that space. Like we've already seen Wolverine back with Marvel, and we're going to start to see, the X-Men get redone. This Fantastic Four is going to play a part. So I think from a comic book fan standpoint, that might be what people loved more of it was, you know, what it's leading to or hopefully leading to. Um, in the movie though, and I think it's a good call out for LeVar when he says, did anybody watch the TV shows? Now that I think about it, this could also be a way to get people back onto Disney Plus, like VP is saying, to go back and watch that series. Because I watched like the first two episodes of it. I know EJ, you watched it. We talked about it when it first came out. Um, but I didn't finish it.
Hmm.
But now that I've watched this, I'll probably go back and watch it. Just because I enjoyed the movie. I enjoy every Marvel movie, well, just about every Marvel movie. I do think that maybe the trailers had to be Hulk heavy and spoiler heavy because they haven't been doing numbers. Like Marvel, for the most part, has been struggling. Now, struggling is the operative word there. I guess it depends on what you look at as struggling. Maybe not struggling compared to the rom-coms that have to go direct to Netflix, but struggling from the sense of what we've seen in the previous Avengers movies, with the previous Captain America movies, with even the Iron Mans that were not the greatest. Um, from a Marvel and Disney standpoint, that is kind of struggling. So I'm wondering if that's why they had to go heavy Red Hulk in the trailers and try to get people to be like, oh shit, we're gonna see Red Hulk, because that was a big seller. And even like Regal, when you go into Regal, they had this big ass red Hulk. You could buy a cup, that to hold your popcorn that had the Hulk. So that's what they billed it as, was the introduction to that. And I think there's a lot behind it, but I'm excited for what the future brings this year and beyond. The talks of Jonathan Majors getting back over there kind of speeds up some of the timeline for the movies to come back. They don't have to rewrite all the stuff that they did when they were talking about the multiverse and Kang. So I think Marvel gets back to a spot within the next year or so where people are like, yo, all right, let's get back to the movies.
Yeah, I like two things that you said. The movie, and that's part of the problem with the movie as well, right? Is that the movie, the title is Captain America, right? But when you watch the movie, really, this is a Hulk sequel, and then a remake of Winter Soldier. And it's almost like they were afraid, man, do we think this black guy could sell it? So maybe, let's throw a little Hulk in there, and then let's also bring back those Winter Soldier vibes, because that was like a lot of people, like that's their one. You know what I'm saying? And
DJ
it
love
seems
that shit.
yeah, it seems like they were trying to do that to say, let's pull off the vibes of all the goodwill surrounding that movie in order to lift this one up, and I didn't like that. Like, let the movie stand on its own, you know what I'm saying? And then to Steve's point about just two more points. I'll be quick. To EJ's point about the animantium or whatever, I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. EJ, I'm not a comics fan, so you're more familiar with the source material, so I can understand why you have a problem with it. For me, I feel like the stuff that is like off from the source material, that the multiverse helps explain it for a person like me who's not familiar with the source material. Because, to me, I'm like, okay, well, on Earth 616, this is how Antiman came into existence. But on Earth, 306085 or whatever, maybe it comes into existence a different way or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's not a big deal to me. But on the Wolverine Deadpool thing real quick, I actually saw that this week. I tried to watch it like multiple times. I kept falling asleep on it. I thought that movie was just okay. Like it, like I don't know. Like I think the fourth wall breaking stuff just got like out of hand for me.
We don't need to hear from him anymore.
But
The
to your
the fourth wall breaking
points, to your, I forgot he mute you. My bad. Go ahead, bro.
the fourth wall breaking from Deadpool is just, it's like way too much this movie. And I thought that Hugh Jackman's acting in it was like subpar to me. And it seems like every single line he said was fucking this, fucking that. It's almost like, remember season 8 of Game of Thrones where it seemed like all John said was "I don't want it. She's our queen,"
It's
or whatever. Like it
Deadpool,
seemed like,
dog.
nah, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. The villains were super mid. The Tom from Succession, as well as the bald lady. That movie was mid as fuck. Yeah.
The thing I was saying, Steve, mostly about the comic potential for comic fans is, and you're right. I think you're absolutely right in it being a setup for something down the line. When you alter the source material, and we've had the years of talking about Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, all of these things that, to your point, they kind of tapped on but didn't really go as hard. And especially for those of you guys who didn't watch the Disney Plus films, it's kind of like, for me, I'm fearful as to what we might see down the line. Like, is it gonna hit the mark? Is it gonna be too off? Is it gonna be, just them putting something out there? And then to your other point about getting back to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, series itself, I don't even know where they go with that, because now you're gonna have the Thunderbolts. And do you really need to take these guys back from the big screen to the small screen? But I think they're gonna have a lot of success, fortunately, with the Daredevil series coming out and being reborn. I think that's gonna be something that they're gonna really focus on. But their timeline is solid. They've given us something in February. They're gonna have Daredevil come out in March. April kind of be what it'll be, and you'll have Fantastic Four. You'll have Thunderbolts. So I mean, Marvel's gonna Marvel. I don't know how it's all gonna tie in together, but they're definitely gonna give you a lot of production to take in. So that's a good thing.
I feel personally attacked by him telling me that Deadpool was mid. Like, I feel like, first of all, maybe it's because Wolverine is my favorite comic book character, superhero of all time. And because he's the GOAT. I mean, forget about whether he's my favorite or not. He's the GOAT. Maybe that's what it was, and maybe for me it was just the tugging on my heartstrings of seeing Wolverine where he belongs and not in a shitty ass movie, because they really fucked him up bad, Fox. For years, I don't know. I thought Deadpool and Wolverine was a pretty good movie, and I'm glad you finally got around to watching it. VP. I also thought, like, when you take, I mean, maybe for you, you're taking out the shock of seeing Wesley Snipes and seeing, the rest of the characters pop up again. But I thought, I mean, that's a part of the movie. You can't take that out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't take that out and say, all right, the rest of the movie was trash. It played a major part, and I thought that movie was done really well, in my opinion.
No, I didn't. I
And I
didn't say
do
to
get the
take that part out.
vulgarity was a little bit much, but
Yeah, I'm not saying to take
Yeah,
that part out. I'm just
that
saying,
sound like
like,
old men.
I mean, for
like
kids, I like it. I'm a sailor, yo. I didn't tone myself down for the pod just because I want to get clips. If we swear, the clips don't go viral.
like
And VP can't
like
stop swearing.
like for me, right? When they introduce Gambit, right? So first they bring Gambit in, and
Also dope.
it's chanting Tatum. This dude's and
Bad
everything every time I
actor.
turn around. Right.
Good
You know,
character,
so
bad
so
actor.
they bring Gambit, who's, like, most, I love Wolverine or whatever, but like Gambit's always been like my guy, yo. Like, and
I
especially
like
seeing X-Men 97 and how, like, Gambit finally, it felt like Gambit was finally done right and given a lot of screen time and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, yeah, you see Gambit, like, oh man, it's Gambit, and then they do the bit where you don't understand what he's saying because he's Creole, and then they just won't stop, and then Deadpool constantly with the who's your dialect coach, and all this. It's like, dude, it's just it was too much, man.
Oh, so you're mad about that's what he's mad about.
No, it's not just. I'm just saying, like, they found the thing that works, and then they keep. It's like the reason why I don't like Kevin Hart, right? You watch Kevin Hart, and every show it's like, hey, did you know I was short? And it's like, dude, you're
No, it's
short.
his
We get it.
kids. It's his kids. That's what it is. I hate my kids. Oh, my kids, my kids, my kids. That's the Kevin Hart shit that gets me every time.
It's
Man, but
like we always say. It's
that's Ryan
it's like we
Reynolds
always
though.
say.
Ryan
Depending
Reynolds,
on
man.
what you sat in the theater looking to expect, Marvel is usually going to give you something for that. I do agree with VP. It's story wise here. It didn't seem like they had an opportunity to really make this a standalone Captain America flick, but it was never intended for that, in my opinion. It was a bridge film, and honestly, it's par for the Captain America course, because all of the films, like I've always said to you, and you disagree with me, I always said the Captain America trilogy was, to me, the best of the whole thing, because it let it off, it kicked it off, and then it continued to take us to new elements of the MCU. And I think this one was no different, other than the fact that, to VP's point, it felt a little bit like they wasn't allowing him to stand on his own. But chooses the world, the World War Hulk aspect of things. So I mean, there's things to look forward to.
What does Marvel have coming for 2025 movies? Let me pull it up.
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts are next.
I think
And
we get the
Fantastic Four.
Avengers Secret Wars this
Daredevil.
year.
Daredevil's coming March 4th. Is that a TV show?
Daredevil's going to Disney Plus.
Straight to Disney Plus.
Yes.
Okay. Thunderbolts is coming. I'm not excited about Thunderbolts at all.
I'm not either.
Fantastic Four is coming.
I don't blame you, but it's gonna be a lot.
Ooh.
It's gonna be a lot introduced into it, though.
And then this is also, I think, the problem with them is just the oversaturation, right? Because you don't have to make everything, and there, this is where we always talk about this on the pod on whether it's movies, sports, whatever. This is where Marvel is a victim of its own success. And we all know the story that they were in contract negotiations with all the main folks, RDJ, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, etc., on what their contracts were going to look like, and they needed to put something out. They make Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a huge hit, and they're like, man, nobody ever heard of this thing, and they loved it. And now they make everything, and that's how we get Eternals and Shang-Chi and all this other stuff. And now here comes Thunderbolts. They introduce us to She-Hulk. They introduce us to Thunderbolts in the Black Widow movie, which should have never been made. Nobody cares about this particular character who's not even a superhero. You give her own movie, a prequel at that or whatever, just for that, as well as to introduce Thunderbolts. And then now we have to deal with a movie with this, 80-year-old Russian dude, and his team of nobodies or whatever, So it may be good story wise, source material wise for people who know the comics like EJ does. But for me, it seems like pointless. I mean, will I see it? Sure. And that's probably the hope for people like me. Will I see it? Yeah. So they still get the bag, but it's like,
Yeah, looking at it now, it looks like actually maybe 2026 is where they have their glow up. They're going to give us Fantastic Four. Hopefully, they do a great job there. And there's opportunity in that area. Thunderbolts, I'm not excited about it all. But then in 26, they're talking about Doomsday, and we're going to get another Spider-Man. I think 26 is going to be their year, and who knows what else is coming. They're saying another Shang-Chi might be coming as well in 2026. Maybe we'll get Blade like EJ's been looking for.
And I actually had to disagree with EJ a little bit, even though he's the comics expert or whatever. He said Captain America has been the most successful franchise. I actually think the Spider-Man joints have been the most successful for me personally. I've enjoyed all of them. They all seem, they all seem like well connected, like from the storylines, even to the titling. To title the first one "Homecoming," "Far Away from Home" or whatever the second one was called. They've all just been done really really well to me. And then in the last one with the when they bring back Toby and what's his face, that's another one that they spoil in all the trailers and stuff like that, and you already know all these guys are coming back or whatever, which that could have been a huge thing, you know what I'm saying. And like you, if you think about it, Marvel spends like $200 million on these films. It's like 150 million to make them, or I think it's actually 300 million. I think they spent 200 million to make it, and then another 100 million on marketing. Right? You could have spent your 200 million to make the movie like you normally do. You could have did maybe 50 million in marketing. People would have went and saw the movie, got the reveal that Tobey Maguire and the other dude, whatever his name is, came back. Andrew. It would have went crazy. Huh?
Andrew.
AJ? Oh, okay.
His name's Andrew. Can't think of his last name.
Okay. And Andrew, the other guy.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. There you go. People would have got the reveal. They came back. They would have got millions of posts on social media of free advertising of people talking about this stuff, and then it would have made more people want to go see it. You know what I'm saying? Like they just keep missing the mark with this putting the whole movie out in trailers.
I've been saying this. I've been saying this to y'all. They have been a victim of their own success. Prime example, Steve brought up Blade. It keeps getting shelved, and it looks like it's not gonna happen. And I mean, I always say, going back to Black Panther, when they did Guardians of the Galaxy and they hit gold, and they were like, "Oh, let's get it right back out," and they went back to filming immediately. They, like, when they had the success of Black Panther, the first one, they didn't go right back to the well. They waited, and unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like they seemingly, again, they're like, we know no matter what we do, as long as we slap Marvel on it, people are going to see it. So let's just expand it and do what we want to do here and there. And people really want to see other properties that they care about. They really wanted to see on live action. And you give us prime example, Deadpool. You give us a callback to Wesley, but we really want to see something new. And it's been teased for a long time.
I think if they bring Blade back, I think we'll see Wesley if they bring it back. I think they're going to move away from whatever they were thinking. But speaking of Spider-Man, there's some flowers to be given. We always give J-Lo her flowers and Selma, but Marissa Tomei is 60 years old and she still got it.
Yeah, I fuck with Marissa Tomei.
That's what I look forward to on Spider-Man 4 is her and Zendaya on the same screen. Oh, that's right, she is dead.
She's dead now.
There'll be a callback to her. There'll be a callback to her.
They robbed it.
They gotta bring her back. Hold on. Let me look at IMDb and see if she's in it.
She's been in what, 3 films now? Because she came in Civil War and then the first 2 Spider-Mans. No, the first 3. So yeah, she's probably out of her deal by now.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
That is very frustrating. But they always call her back. They found a way to bring her back in at least to show her. We'll see. I'm going to check IMDb and see if she's still there.
To VP's point about Captain America, I mean, that's fair to have your feeling. But those were the last 2 movies where the reveal, like everything Captain America wise, the reveal has been present. Like with the Winter Soldier, we had the introduction of Winter Soldier, and then Civil War was the first time we saw Black Panther out of nowhere. And then, of course, the different Avengers properties where, he calls in people. So it's been some good moments. And I mean, they've gone away from that aspect of keeping certain things a big reveal. I don't get it.
Yeah, like I don't remember seeing trailers for Winter Soldier. I may have, but I'm just not recalling them. But I don't remember seeing Black Panther in it. And so when we get that reveal, like that was like, whoa, like for me, that was a moment. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it just yeah, they keep missing the mark. And on Marissa Tomei, Steve, it's crazy. I remember I know she's been
Don't
an
say no
actress,
blasphemous shit.
I know she's been an actress for a long time, she's 60 or whatever, but like I remember the first time, like when I noticed her on screen, I was like, why'd they make Meadow look older? I thought she was Meadow Soprano.
Yeah, she do favor her a little bit.
Nigga,
Jamie something.
you gotta be fucking
Jamie Lee Sigler, I think.
You gotta be
Jamie,
shitting me. This lady's been in Different World to fucking My Cousin Vinny to fucking everything, and this motherfucking
I seen all that stuff when I
daughter
was
was
a kid.
Meadow.
So when I saw her when I was older, it was
Trash.
like, oh, they made they aged up Meadow Soprano for this role.
You are
You're an
trash
asshole.
for that.
Yeah, you're an asshole.
Trash for that.
Yo,
Shout out
Steve
to Meadow,
Smith
though.
is
She's
out here
still hot,
wilding,
too.
yo. Meadow is still
Yeah.
bad. They need to do a spin-off of her, like the X-rated version.
Yeah.
What Steve Smith is out here wilding, yo. Steve Smith, the wide receiver or ex-wide receiver for the Panthers and or Baltimore Ravens is out here causing all types of marital problems. If you haven't paid attention to it, it came out last night. Haven't seen it on your timeline. A gentleman put out the leaked texts of his wife texting Steve Smith. I think she's an employee of the Ravens, is what they're saying. What they said. Texting Steve Smith some what do they call that? What do you call it, VP? Scantily clad.
Salacious
Text messages. And she's a married man, or she's a married woman, of course. To the likes of you're gonna rearrange my IUD.
She knows she's married. Like,
too.
goodness gracious.
Just for
right. He's married.
Like, right. That I saw that in the comments. That's the first part. Forget all the nastiness that she texted because it gets real. It gets real deep. No pun intended.
Literally.
Who's you think she's at fault here?
Hell yeah.
You don't blame him?
The husband?
No, Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
Look, it's hard to blame the guy, or it's hard to blame the other person, whether it's a guy or a woman, because we don't know the situation, right? We don't know the situation. When they meet, maybe he don't know she's married. You know what I'm saying? He goes, says, "What's up?" Blah, blah, blah. And then maybe she doesn't say he, you know what I mean? So we don't know that Steve Smith was,
hold on. There's really quick. There's a text message.
I didn't know Steve Smith was married. My bad.
He's also married, but there's a text message in there where she says to Steve Smith, "I would have swallowed it, but I had to come home."
Yeah, I saw that one. But no, what I'm talking about.
So he knew she was married.
I'm talking about like at first.
Oh, when they first started. Okay.
Yeah, like when they first meet, we don't know the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Now, once he finds out that she's married, yeah, he's a dog for that. But she's doubly wrong because she definitely knows she's married. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the timeline.
I'm shocked that you took that stance. I just knew you were going to be on the opposite side of things. I mean, they both foul because Steve has been married for 25 years, but ultimately in let's just say in this transactional relationship, everything was mutual, everything was consensual. Ultimately the woman has the last say, right, or the power. And for her to just be like, yo, he's scrambling my IUD. I love it when you splashing me.
It's wild, yo.
Wow.
That is absolutely wild.
She's she's savage, man. She is savage. Steve is crazy. Steve Smith is crazy.
Nah, I have to
Him sending her
disagree with
pictures
Art.
of himself.
I gotta disagree with Art, and here's why, right. One, this man is hurt. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to be like, yo, just move on. She a hoe, all this kind of stuff like that,
Nope,
right?
nope. You got to
But
suffer in silence with this one, dog.
no,
With those
here's why.
messages,
Here's why I say that.
I'm taking that to the grave, dog. I might.
Here's why I say that, because he's like, in one of the posts that I saw, he says something to like Steve Smith's wife or something, where he says like good luck to you, and I don't know if they're going through a divorce or something like that or whatever, but he's basically saying, hey, you fucked up my life, so I'm gonna fuck yours up. So now here go all the evidence for your soon to be ex-wife to take your ass to the cleaners in the divorce settlement, because I'm showing all the proof that you're cheating on her. You know what I'm saying? So you screwed my life up, I'm about to screw yours up even worse,
True.
because it's gonna hit you right in your wallet. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said I disagree.
I don't know if I would have went to social media with that. We can't take nothing serious. Wasn't nobody gonna feel bad for him, especially with that level of sloth in those messages. Like, who's worse to be cheaters, yo? Men or women?
I think women.
When you say worse,
is it worse? Is it worse for men to cheat, or is it worse for women to cheat?
I think women.
Yeah, women. I mean, because as we've said, we've answered this question before. I mean, the emotional aspect. Like she's sitting here, what I mean? She's sitting just doing the most. Like Steve Smith, just like it's a regular Saturday. Like, I wish you really, really would have topped me off and just, what I mean? For him, it ain't nothing but another, Saturday afternoon. For her, she's like, oh, yo.
She's thinking about the future with him and shit. She's thinking about running away with Steve Smith.
Yeah.
He probably make a great dad. Like, that's why it's worse for women to cheat, yo. Because women get so emotionally attached and don't realize that it's just a physical transaction. And I think most men, I won't say all, because some men fall in love with that side. I wouldn't know from experience. I'm just saying, like, from reading a lot of reading that I've done on the internet and stuff, that most men probably, we're visual and physically charged individuals. Like, there's rarely emotion in, like, the first thing we think of when we see a baddie is not, man, I wonder if she's a great mom. Like, none of that. I wonder if she's financially stable. Like, that is not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth thing that a man thinks about when they see a baddie. And I'm sure from a woman's standpoint, they'll tell us the same thing. They might look at a dude and be like, man, he's fine. And that's probably not, one of their first things. But I guarantee somewhere in the top 5, they're wondering, is this guy a good, is he a good dude? Is he going to treat me well? Is he going to tell me I'm pretty? Is he the type that buys flowers? Is he the type to open the door? Like, that type of thing. And so that's why, to me, right, just from all the reading I've done on the internet, it's worse for women to cheat than men.
I agree.
And again, you had these situations, right, where I was talking to someone. How many men can give birth and say one person is the father or not? You know what I mean? Like in this situation, if she got pregnant, what was she gonna say to her husband? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is she
saying?
You know what I'm saying? So,
and I don't know where they live, but there are some of the states actually got laws on the books that if you're married, they automatically put the husband as the father on the birth certificate. You know what I mean? So she could have messed around and had a Steve Smith kid and had this dude on the hook for it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. She talking about you in here dislodging my IED. Like, yo, what if it fails? So now what?
Yeah.
And that's a potential for financial stability for her, like, and like if she could, that's the other thing. Like, we're not trying to turn them into liking us. Like, I don't want you to love me. Is what most men I hear think of. When they're looking at something on the side. But from a woman's standpoint, yeah, for her at least, this is Steve Smith. Steve Smith is a Hall of Fame wide receiver from whatever team you remember him from. You know what I'm saying? Like this is
broadcaster.
Yeah, this is financial stability on top of everything else that comes with it. Him reaching the back room and all of that maybe, her husband wasn't doing at work, because they're saying she worked for the Ravens. So there's a problem there, man. There's a major problem there.
Yeah,
that's that was.
Do you think him tagging ESPN is snitching? And do you think ESPN gets involved at all?
I don't think ESPN gets involved. But I think it's just more of the whole, like,
he
trying to
tagged
make
Yeti
sure.
coolers too. I think
He
Steve Smith
tagged
has an
Antonio
endorsement with
Brown.
Yeti.
That's what I thought was crazy.
And AB.
Yeah.
Tell me you're Republican without telling me you're Republican.
Yo, with Steve Smith,
imagine you come home and see that your girl is cheating on you, and the first thing you think of is, I gotta tag Antonio Brown, so he knows this.
Yo, it's crazy. All of this went down, right? And you asking about ESPN, and I was thinking, I was like, do they take the Fox approach where nobody says shit, and they just wait till it goes away, like, because we still ain't getting a resolution on the whole Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless. They
Joy
just
done
stopped
brought them
talking about it.
things
Nobody
back
gave
out.
two fucks so far.
But I think part of the reason why you don't really get a lot of smoke on the Joy Taylor thing is because Joy's not really involved in it. You know what I'm saying? Like the woman who filed the lawsuit against Skip and Fox, she's saying that Skip and Fox engage in this behavior. And then she just uses the Joy situation as like an example, like this is other proof that this goes on. You know what I'm saying? So she's not saying that Joy did anything. So I think that's why you haven't really seen Joy getting the smoke or whatever. And also likely because at ESPN, the same stuff is happening. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably got some woman who's hosting one of the shows who done slept with somebody to get the glow up, And so they like, yo, we're not gonna shit on Fox. It's like those people during the Me Too movement. Something will happen to so and so, and they're like, oh, that guy's a piece of shit, blah blah blah. And then like 2 weeks later, something comes out about him, and they're like, oh, doth protest too much. You know what I'm saying?
I was saying more so in just being quiet and letting it blow over. And I think Joy, right? I think people were saying, like, for her to be a woman's person and leader for the women, and you knew this was happening, and you didn't help, and you even told her, bitch, shut up, because I'm doing me. You know what I'm saying? But it was just crazy though, like, to your point, they may not feel the need to, but there was absolutely nothing. They just like, fuck it, we just gonna be quiet. And I'm like, does ESPN Steve Smith just be like, fuck it, be quiet, it'll go away eventually? You know what I mean? Because that's what society is today. We're talking about it today, but next week we're gonna be like, she's getting her ID rearranged.
Joy did it the right way though. Joy did it the right way. She just went to the back of the room, stayed quiet, and let it blow over, literally. And nobody talk about it for a little bit, and then now she's slowly bringing the girls back out, getting the endorsements back, getting the viewership back. Acho ain't say shit about it. Acho was chilling. You know what I'm saying? That's another one who could have been impacted. And I don't know if he's married or not, but he's another one that could have been impacted for, look, you can't tell people what to do in their personal lives, but they work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you work together. You can't slide off with your coworker that you know every day with. Like, there's rules against that, I hear, in HR.
It's usually just in a matter of power.
I don't want to hear your input here, sir.
I'm just saying, long as you don't have any power in that person's career, if y'all are on the same plane, most HR say it's good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the case?
And even when there is a power dynamic or whatever, a lot of the stuff you see come out is when it's not reported. Because a lot of folks who are in relationships, especially like in media companies, they'll say like, okay, this guy and Joy have a relationship, so he can't manage her or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'll do something like that. Or it's like, okay, well, he manages the all the folks in LA, so maybe we'll put Joy working in Fox Sports out of New York. You know what I'm saying? And then that way, you know, he's not managing her or something like that. You know, you usually try to do something like that. And most of the stuff comes up when it's hidden. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I like the whole thing with Joy, to me, it's like, it's Fox. They're gonna put some pretty chick on there. Sometimes they got big titties, sometimes they don't, or whatever. Their opinions don't necessarily matter. A lot of these women are on the shows for you to look at them.
Is that all you guys think about?
Stance, yo, you have turned from the resident feminist to one of us.
He's a whore.
You
know what it is? He just adjusts to the he adjusted to the new administration. Based on the administration, VP's principles go with. When Biden was in there, he's a feminist. Yeah, he's a feminist. And now, you know, now he got to be on the other side of things. Now he's a proud boy.
I'm a patriot. I serve this nation. I'm going to go with the climate. Grab him by the pussy.
Speaking of proud boys, the dude, the leader, the ex-leader, Enrique whatever was wasn't he?
Enrique Tarrio.
He was arrested again.
Iglesias?
No, not Iglesias. Iglesias is just out there at you know, them things, them dudes. Enrique Tarrio or whatever VP said his name is. He's been arrested again. That's what 4 people now that we've seen from the January 6th, and him probably being the most notable. That have been either rearrested or killed. One of them was killed in a routine traffic stop because they had a gun, and you know they were resisting arrest as well. What does that say to you, VP? That this guy was rearrested? Do we know why? I didn't see the full story.
I think I believe I read it, but I didn't like commit it to memory. But I think it was like an assault charge or something like that at the Capitol.
So they're dangerous.
Oh yeah, I mean we already knew they were dangerous. I mean January 6th.
Wait a minute. You said at the Capitol?
I believe it was at the Capitol.
At the Capitol. Yes.
So this nigga went back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he wasn't there originally. He wasn't there on January 6th. He's one of the people who got charged with seditious conspiracy for like the planning and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't even in DC on January 6th.
Yeah, I mean, but it's still the scene of the crime. This nigga went.
No doubt.
Nigga went to the scene of the crime. He wasn't even at. The fuck is he?
It was assault. It was assault. And it was.
You know, they're the whole like Trump MAGA movement. They're all, you know, they're full of it, man. Like it's a bunch of hypocrisy. You know, they hate all this stuff, and then all the stuff they hate, they do. You know what I'm saying? You hear all the nonsense about, you know, like you look at this Doge stuff, right? They're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. We got to get rid of all this wasteful government spending. And Trump spends an estimated $20 million going to the Super Bowl that he doesn't even go stay for the whole game. You know what I mean? Then, you know, the following week, he goes to the Daytona 500 or whatever. You know what I mean? But then they tell us about all this wasteful spending or whatever, and it's ridiculous. You know, like it's nonsense. That's why I would say, you know, this is not an original thing. I heard it from somebody I follow where they say, you know, watch what they do, not what they say. You know, because they tell you it's the same thing during the campaign where they tell you, oh, you know, we're not coming after your Social Security, and then you know this week we hear they're coming after Social Security. They're not coming after Medicaid. They're coming after Medicaid. We're not coming for food stamps. They're coming for food stamps. We're not coming for veterans benefits. They're coming for veterans benefits. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, watch what they do, not what they say, man. And these people who, you know, you keep seeing the videos of the folks who are, you know, the FAFO. You keep seeing the people with the finding out. Like I can't believe this happened. I regret it. No, I don't want to hear it. No, you know. And people say like folks like shouldn't rub it in their faces and it should be more open to them. I'm like, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Because we were trying to tell them during the campaign.
We just talked about that. We just talked
We were
about that
telling
leading
them
off
during
this
the
pod.
campaign. Yeah.
Don't rub it in their faces.
Nah, yay. Look, during the campaign, folks were telling them, "Hey, this is what's going to happen. They're coming for this. They're coming for that." And people were like, "No, we got to clean up the country. They're only gonna go after the criminal, undocumented folks or whatever." And it's yeah, they're only gonna come after the criminal illegal immigrants. No, they're coming for all of them. They've actually, it looks like they've started with the folks who haven't committed any crimes. You know,
right.
You speak Spanish, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying?
You look like you could be a
you
criminal.
speak Spanish.
Exactly.
What's your name?
Did you see the Venezuelans down in Miami who, oh my God, we got duped? No. I don't understand how you got duped. We understood what it was. And then the people you see
because y'all didn't say it in Spanish.
And then you see the people online wondering like, where are the black folks and the activists to help them? And it's like, where were you when we were saying help us? You know what I'm saying? When the 80-90% of us who voted for Kamala because we knew that this whole thing was a damn scam or whatever, 50% of your people voted for this guy. You know what I'm saying? So don't ask us to show up and save you. Now, you didn't show up to save us.
Yeah, I'm partially on that side, but I'm not on this. I'm on the side. I'm fully on the side of if you voted for him and you're impacted, you absolutely deserve it. Like I know people that I see y'all with them second jobs. Like I see y'all with them second jobs all of a sudden. You thought everything was gonna be cool under Big Daddy T, and now I see y'all with them second jobs posting on the internet. Come see me. I'm manning the bar. All right. All right. I see what life is leading you to.
I saw a video this morning of a guy, I don't know where he's from or whatever, but he says he regrets voting for Trump. And the reasons why is that the $35 insulin that his diabetic mother was getting, thanks to Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, that is going away. His mom insulin went from $35 to, I think he said 200, I want to say. His mom also is poor, so she gets her health care through Medicaid. That's also going away. Mm-hmm. And she gets food stamps. You know what I'm saying? Now, you saw the run up to the campaign, right? And you still voted for this guy, knowing that all the policies that he supported changing was going to literally impact your mother's life. And you still voted that way. Mm-hmm. And the reason why you voted that way is because you won't say this part out loud. They always stop short of this. They voted for pain for other people, but not for themselves. And they thought that their whiteness would protect them from the pain.
Right. That's
point blank, period.
That's key. That's probably the best statement right there without saying they're racist. Like, you don't have to be racist to think that way. You know what I mean? You just felt like you're selfish. You're selfish. You know.
I said it 2 pods ago. We've seen this selfish, with white women,
but I still think about other people.
We've seen this with white women. They literally voted for this dude twice, and he's literally told you, by all means, I don't value you. I don't value you as a person. I don't value your station in this country. I don't even value your vagina enough to protect you or care about you. And guess what? Said, don't apply to me. I got a white husband. I'm good. This is what they did.
Yeah. We call this part of the administration the fuck around, meet, find out stage, because it's getting nasty, yo. And I mean, look at the stock market. Stock market plummeted this past week. And you know, when Biden was in there and we saw some days that were low, I joked around in our chat and said, look at the stock market is plummeting and taking a dive, and VP's like, I wouldn't call it that. And then, you know, we got into a little back and forth tift. But in reality, that's what took place. Like, the market is lower today than it was, or Friday when it closed, lower than it was when Trump came into office. Mm-hmm. So now in 30 days, right? 30 days, he's gone and tanked the market and made for whistleblowers like Walmart, who supported him, by the way, in his campaign, to now start speaking about potential recession. So you can't take the credit. And you hear the MAGA people, oh no, he couldn't fix it, he couldn't break it in 30 days. What are we talking about? Well, but on day one, when it spiked, matter of fact, before he even got in office, when the shit spiked, y'all was like, yo, look at Bitcoin and look at the market, it's going up because Trump just won the election. But now 30 days after getting in office, it's not his fault that it tanked. And we've seen all the stuff that he's done that would impact it. Come on, man. The fuck out of here.
Yeah. And what we're seeing in the markets, in the economy, it's basically a function of prices have continued to go up, right? And we see under Biden, inflation is coming down. It was coming down too slow, but it was coming down nonetheless. And under Trump, with implementing all these tariffs, it's making inflation go back up. And you see that things are costing more. So people are cutting back their spending, which is not good for the economy. At the same time, the government is reducing spending with all these layoffs and firing people and cuts to programs that they're doing. So nobody's spending, the government or the people. That's not good for the economy. You know what I'm saying? And the market is reflecting that. You're seeing consumer sentiment go down. You know, you got all these crackpots in place or whatever. You know, there's a story this week about a new coronavirus popping up in China or whatever. And I'm thinking about all the folks they fired at the NIH, at the CDC. You got a conspiracy theorist in RFK Jr. running the health department. Viruses don't respect borders. It don't matter if you build walls. They can get here anyway. You know what I'm saying? And once they get here, the people who we put in charge to fight these things don't believe in the methods that you use to fight viruses. You know what I'm saying? And so it's this stuff is gonna be bad for folks. It's gonna be bad. And you know, I don't wish pain on people, you know, but I don't also feel sorry for the people who voted for this stuff and it's now impacting them, and they're sitting here crying, you know, woe is me. I saw the lady in Alabama complaining about her light bill going up, and she's like, I don't know why this happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no, you do know why it's happened. You know why?
Mhm.
Because the electric company sent you a letter and it literally says, because of Trump's executive order 1234, whatever the number of the executive order was, it cut off this grant. And this grant was being used to reduce your electric bill. So now the government is not paying half your electric bill, and you got to pay the actual cost. She's like, my electric bill was roughly between $200 to $250, and this month it was $600 because the government was footing the other $400 for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
You know
but
that wasteful spending your boy's telling you about?
Exactly.
There you go.
But what you thought when you said you hate DEI, you didn't realize the equity in DEI was you. You're the equity. The government was making sure you could also have electricity.
Yep.
But you thought DEI just meant black people. So we got to get rid of it. Not realizing you were the DEI.
That's right. That's right. I saw that one too. It's, I don't know, man. It's scary times. I hope y'all haven't thrown out your masks, any leftover masks you have. You know, I know some of y'all probably still driving around with them around your blinker arm or whatever in the car, but like I just threw mine out a couple months ago. I called myself crazy. I'm like, yo, do I still got? Actually, I got a new car before I did it, and I'm like, damn, I still got these masks here.
The other thing though, the other thing more importantly for people of color, you know, and I've said this before, if you ain't armed in any sense, you know, unless you're somebody who just completely doesn't, you know, believe in guns or whatever it is, you can get armed and you can afford to, and you're in a state where you're protected to be armed, get armed. Because, you know, we got these proud people running around, we got the January 6th people running around, and you got these neo-Nazis trying to infiltrate towns and cities. Do what? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I posted the video about the town in Ohio. You know, shout out to the black folks out there that got up, went outside and was like, nah, we're not not. And shout out to the law enforcement that was able to respond to the people with some compassion and some understanding of what was going on, and that it didn't escalate against them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I
these times,
agree with you there, EJ.
and
I saw that video you posted, and I thought law enforcement handled themselves well. Even when the black folks there were trying to escalate, and they're like, "No, come on, dude, it's not worth it. It's not worth." You know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell they basically were saying like, "Dog, please don't make me arrest you, dog. Like, come on, dog.
Right.
This ain't
yeah,
it."
or
You know what
worse,
I'm saying?
or worse, yeah,
Or worse.
and
Or worse.
Yeah,
they had to protect their town, because that shit is just it's not acceptable in any way. You had white folks out there saying they're afraid, and you have to be, because at some point your ethnicity won't matter either if your political or religious views don't align with these people. And at that point, like Ving Rain said, it's going to be about guns and butter. And in these times, we already got the government to deal with. You're going to have these people to deal with. So while you may not believe in having a whole stockpile for a militia, if you believe in a little something, have a little something, because if these people come driving down your city streets, this the time for the dope boy. This the time for the crash outs. This the time for the people, the park shooters, to get outside and do what's right for the people, because they not gonna care about what beef or what block is theirs, what who's this and who's that. They're gonna see black. They're gonna see Spanish. They're gonna see Jewish. They're gonna see everything that they're against, and their is not going to be to deliver a subtle message. They're going to be there to deliver and create problems. So
They
that's
shut down.
one thing from all this so far.
They shut down the National Police Misconduct Database, as if we didn't know that was going to end up happening. Um, which, to your point again, EJ, people have to stay prepared and ready. Um, I expect for us to see brutality cases, increase again, potential shootings, again. But also, I think what people lose sight of is, at least here in Florida, right? And I'm sure this probably happens in other, states as well. Um, Anytime we start to see this stuff happen, we also see an increase in police shootings, meaning police getting shot. Because I think people get standoffish. People are like, I'm not part of it. I'm not down with this. I'm not dying over you being power happy. And you see good cops, or what people call good cops, at least after the fact, ending up getting harmed. And so I think it's dangerous all around. It's not only dangerous for us, it's probably the most dangerous for us, but it's also dangerous for the people that have to try and go out there and do their job, that want to do it the right way and not be on the side of beating up black people, or allowing, racists and neo-Nazis walk through the city and make a mockery of other cultures. Like, it's just, it's gonna be a rough time, yo. It's gonna be a
You're
rough time.
100%. You're 100% right. We saw what happened with the officers on the January 6th situation, and you had people on the other side saying they bleed blue, to assaulting other officers and subsequently killing other officers. They were nowhere to be found. The police union nowhere to be found. Something happens to a police officer, the police union is all over it, but not in this situation. It was all good when it was Capitol Police. So
The
I
police
mean,
unions endorse Trump.
to VP's point, the hypocrisy is there. And again, so you can't even trust them to do their norm. You know what I mean? It's just it's insane, and it's beyond scary times, and you got to be willing at some point to really take up and defend your.
Yeah. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 1 month in, man, and it's already like this, and 3 years, 11 months to go, hopefully, and people. I mean, it's people. They're in for a rude awakening, man. They're in for a rude awakening, and especially the folks who are gonna be impacted the most is gonna be, a lot of these poor white folks who didn't realize how much of this stuff that they hate because they think, you know, is black folks and you know, black and brown people that are getting over on the system, you know, they just don't realize how much of this stuff was impacting them. You know, it's like, it's funny, like the stuff that you see happen right away, you know, for these farmers, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't realize how much of their product was being bought by USAID. Foreign
Mhm.
aid, blah blah blah, you know. And the thing, it goes back to, I say this on a lot of pods, especially when we get around election time. You know, when I talk about you know, what responsibility do the voters have? And, you know, you and EJ usually push back on me, but it's stuff like this is what I'm talking about, right? Where people hate foreign aid, right? Most Americans, when they do surveys, most Americans think that the government spends about 25% of the budget on foreign aid. That's what they think the number is, when the number is actually less than 1% of the budget goes towards foreign aid. You know what I'm saying? And because people just have a fundamental misunderstanding of how the government works, it allows for them to just be fooled by, you know, people like a Donald Trump type who comes in saying, "Oh, everything is screwed up, and I'm going to fix it," you know, blah blah blah, and they don't realize like how much government they actually get. You know, case in point, the woman in Alabama who essentially voted to raise her electric bill, the man from wherever he's from who essentially voted to kill his mother. You know what I'm saying? So these folks don't realize that or whatever because they don't pay attention, and they get all of their news from social media, from IG and Facebook clips or whatever, and they take it to the bank. It's like, oh, if I saw it on the internet, it has to be true, you know, and then you screw up your own lives or whatever. So, you know, you made your bed, lie in it.
I see two people. Two people are keeping extreme pressure on this administration, um, and we just need more people to do it. Jasmine Crockett is one of them,
Mhm.
and JB Pritzker,
Mhm.
the Illinois governor. That dude is on the ass.
Yeah, I fuck with
And
JB.
every time he opens his mouth, it is something positive, and you know, it's like, to be a billionaire. This guy's a billionaire. Came from, and I did some research on him because I didn't know shit about him when I just
Hmm.
started seeing. I'm like, why is this guy like black people, Jewish people, and like our rights and shit, you know, so much. Um, but he's a billionaire and he
Yeah,
doesn't have to be this way. Like, he could move on with his life and be like, I'm good anyway. His family is one of the richest families. They're always at the top of Forbes. I want to say they were the Hyatt. It was either Hyatt or it was one of the
Hyatt,
hotels. Yeah, it was one of
Hyatt.
the hotel strings that they were a part of, or owners or whatever. Um, and this guy's every day has something. Like, anytime you see him, it's, this administration is killing us, this administration is against us, and I'm not going to allow it to happen. And we need that to continue. Like, we need that side of it. And Jasmine Crockett, we need her side of it. She's doing her tours. I saw her on the Breakfast Club this past week. You know, they got to start now, yo. It's a month in. You got to start now, and you got to tackle all demos. And I think if you have that type of, you know, they have to build something between the two of them, because you're tackling our side of it, which is, you know, Jasmine. We can relate to her. She looks like us. She looks like our daughters. She looks like our neighbors. You know what I'm saying? She talks like us. Even though she's educated, she's saying stuff that makes a ton of sense. She still talks like us. She's not up there, blah, 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 blah. She's up there talking just like us. Like, yo, we ain't gonna take this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you need, because that's what they like on their side. They got your girl Marjorie Taylor Greene, who talks like them. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Oh, well, we ain't gonna take this. This is for Jesus. You know, like, you got to be able to associate yourself with these people and see a little bit of you in them, or them in you, to follow. And you know, I'm following the two of them heavily, and
Yeah, I agree with you, man. AOC has also been out there hard too. I mean, she's always, you know,
Bernie,
yeah, she
been,
be on her shit.
Uncle
yeah,
Bernie out there.
yeah, and
This
I
is but
think that
but
this is,
this is what the party needs.
yeah. Oh,
This
I
is what the
agree,
party
I
needs.
agree, and I think that you know, when you look at like Hakeem Jeffries or whatever, I saw a thing where he was saying how you know, he made this analogy where he talked about Aaron Judge. I think that's his name, right? The Yankee slugger,
You
whatever his
think
name is.
that's his name? I will
You know, I don't watch
smack
Name.
baseball.
you.
What do you mean?
You know who Aaron Judge is, fool. Just like I know who Dan Marino is, and
But
Tua Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa. But
Same
With
shit.
this one.
um, but he was saying like he was like Aaron Judge is a great slugger, and the reason why is because he doesn't swing at every pitch, you know. And
Anymore.
the point he was trying to make is like we're not gonna go ham on every single Donald Trump thing, right? Which I get that because some of the stuff that Trump does is for distraction. I mean, he tweeted out that thing about him, long live the king or whatever. That was a distraction. What was happening that day? We had got the inflation data. We also got the Eric Adams went to court for one of the most corrupt dismissal of charges in history. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a distraction. So yeah, we don't gotta, go on the long live the king thing, right? But these programs that are cutting people off, that are killing these agencies, where we see they fire the people at the Department of Energy who safeguard our nukes. You know what I mean? Like that's important shit. We need to swing at that pitch. You know what I'm saying? They fire the people who are combating the bird flu outbreak, which is why egg prices are so high. We need to swing at that pitch, you know. And so this whole we're gonna pick and choose our battles thing, while I get it high level, people don't want to hear that shit who are suffering. You know what I'm saying? They want to see you out there fighting, about prices and these other things, to say this shit is wrong. It needs to stop. And when it's time for you to go back to the ballot box, you need to vote for us so we can fix it. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that Republicans actually do very well. They point out problems, they tell you who to blame for it, and then tell you, put us in charge so we can fix it, even though they're not going to. And Democrats act like they don't realize the election is happening until it's 6 weeks out. They got to be on this shit today, saying this is a problem,
And
this is who you blame, this is who's going to fix it.
This is what I've been saying for forever. You know, we had the community organizing movement to get Barack in, where you had town halls, you had Michelle going to, these politicians, the HBCUs were impacted by funding due to this guy's cuts. Granted, I mean, if you've been in higher education, people in higher education have begged politicians for years to make the funding for HBCUs stand alone from that agricultural aspect, because a lot of the programming was moving away from that. But if you're a politician in these various states at these HBCUs, your ass needs to be at the university. You need to be at Delaware State University tomorrow, holding town court for the community and the students alike, to say, yo, this is what we need to do. I need y'all to be mobilized. If we're not going to swing at every pitch on a high level, I need y'all to swing at every pitch on y'all level. Everything y'all can do makes a difference. Go into these communities, go into these schools and talk to these parents that thought for this guy might have been a good idea, and explain to them why things are more expensive, why eggs are more expensive, why their energy bill is high. Go into these communities and talk to these people that we can't reach all the time. The Democratic Party now has to get on the wagon. It can't just be two people. And I appreciate them going to the break. I appreciate Jasmine going to the Breakfast Club. We talked about how important to that platform, but it can't stop there. AOC, shout out to her, has been on the street forever, but we need more of our politicians to get out there. I just saw that Trump added Wes Moore to, I guess, preside over the committee of governors. I'm not certain, but
Trump
again,
doesn't appoint that position,
and he's in a precarious. I don't. Yeah, he appointed him to something. Don't quote me, but he's in a predicament in his sense where, I'm pretty sure he's trying to gear up for something long term. But these are the moments where you got to be vocal about these things happening, how you feel, what you're thinking, mobilizing your state. He's in a very blue state that's got a lot of red spots around it, but you're the governor. Get out here and start speaking to the people. Start this process now. To VP's point, don't wait until 6 weeks when we need you to do something. stuff needs to be happening now. If we're not going to swing at every pitch on a high level, damn it, let's swing on every pitch on every other level. We got to do something.
Yeah.
He appointed him to be the council of governors, which is some shit I've actually never heard of. But,
okay. Yeah.
And beyond that, right? Like beyond just the Democratic Party being on it, we also need these outlets to be on it, right? Like I don't need, Charlemagne and Joe Budden and these other places and Hot 97 and Ebro. Ebro's been on it regularly, but you get what I mean, to pop up to VP's point 6 weeks before the election and say, "Hey guys, listen to what this person is saying." Put these people on there regularly. Same thing. Start them now. Get them on your platform now. Have a regular cadence of it, and get some people in there to talk some facts about it, some truth to it. I mean, Joe Budden has Mark Lamont Hill over there. That should be a regular part of something that they do, whether it's semi-annually, if it's quarterly. Mark Lamont needs to lead that conversation and bring in some people that can talk some real shit. Fuck Dr. Umar. Hear just Dr. Umar talking about how he hates white people. Like, I get that. I'm cool with that. But I want to see AOC. I want to see Jasmine Crockett. I want to see these people coming onto the platform that frequent and say, yo, this is what's going on. And otherwise you're just gonna have, a repeat of this shit 4 years from now.
I think that,
but we have to have the celebrity aspect. We have to have these people care more. They can't just sit back, collecting their checks and thinking that because they can afford to, that they're not going to be impacted. We need them to come out and care more than they have. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody was just saying the other day how tone deaf Beyonce is. Tickets for a concert, $700. Her liquor is $90 here and $100 there. The perfumes, $100 here.
Our
Like,
liquor is
bruh,
pretty good.
I heard, bruh, your fan base can't really afford this right now at this moment. You feel me? We need somebody to come out and actually care about the people at those levels. But again, like Malcolm said, you can't depend on them, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
I think also these folks on the Democratic side have to I think
I was saying Arthur Blank. That's the one that cares about to keep the Atlanta prices low.
I think he's a big Trump supporter too, by the way. But the owner of the Falcons, founder of Home Depot.
Oh well, fuck him then.
But I think also,
owners, in my opinion,
yeah, well, not the Eagles guy we know about, but
so he says.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
It's the difference between being supportive and being bullied into it, and that's what I think we're seeing. Like you're seeing these people. We saw Trump, have that little thing with the Maine governor yesterday or the day before, talking about, well, you better start to listen to us, or you're not going to get any federal funding. Like, what kind of shit is that?
Yeah,
like
what she responded correctly. We'll see you in court now. So. Yeah. But that's the thing with Trump, though. It's like he's like you said earlier, he's a bully. You know what I'm saying? So for him, it's I got the microphone, so I'm gonna, and this is what happens like to a lot of folks, especially when you become president. And I've told you guys before, like this is why they say the sitting president when they're running for re-election, they usually lose that first debate, and it's because they're used to being president. When they talk, people shut up. You know what I mean? When they walk in the room, everybody stands up, they play hell to the chief. And now you're on the stage with a person who doesn't give you that kind of respect. They're cutting you off. They're calling you names. They're saying you're lying, all this kind of stuff like that. And nobody's talked to you like that in almost 4 years. You know what I mean? Everybody calls you, yes, sir, Mr. President. And, they laugh at your corny ass jokes. You know what I'm saying? And now you're standing next to somebody who's not doing that, and so it's like it's almost like it kind of throws them off for a second, like, whoa, what the hell just happened here? You know what I'm saying? And Trump, because he surrounds himself with sycophants, it's been like that for him since he was president and post-president, because they treat him like he's some kind of king or whatever. And so now you get in a room with a governor, and it's like, are you going to comply? And I think he expected her not to say yes. He probably expected her not to say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
he just gets to be the one who voiced you here saying, you're going to comply, you're going to comply. And it's like, oh, look at me telling this governor what time it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I backed her
Like,
into a corner.
yeah, I'm going to comply with the law. Well, we are the law. No, I don't think so. I'll comply with the law. Or well, you ain't going to get no funding. Yeah, I'll see you in court then. You know? And,
Not to mention,
you know,
not to mention, he's been like that since before he was president. You know,
Right.
yeah.
being an apprentice and all this shit. This dude
Mm-hmm. And the
has
other
been
thing too,
egotistical for the last
the other
years.
thing too, I wanted to add on to EJ's point about these folks going on to these shows. I think Democrats need to also go on some of these other things like a Joe Rogan, right? And I'm not one of these Democrats who think like I like this whole like this. Democrats keep chasing the white vote like you know, whoever it was, you know, chasing Moby Dick or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Jacques Cousteau or whoever the fuck that was in the book or whatever. This shit ain't happening, right? But you still need to go to these platforms so these people can hear the other side of the argument. Because when they listen to the broadcast that they listen to, be it Joe Rogan, Charlie Kirk, whoever, they're only hearing one side of the argument. And because these folks don't listen to any other kind of media, they don't ever hear your point of view. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, maybe, you know, you care about, you know, this, you know, trans athletes or whatever. And people are telling you how it's a scourge and it's the craziest thing happening in the country. And then you can go on there and say, well, I'm not necessarily for, you know, trans athletes playing in sports or whatever. But in this country, we're talking about 7 people. You know what I mean? Like, you understand what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
maybe you think that that's a big issue, only to realize, like the thing I said with the budget, you know, oh, we're spending 25% of the budget on foreign aid, and this person comes, actually, it's less than 1%. The U.S. government spends $6 trillion per year. USAID's budget is $41 billion. That comes out to 0.014%. You know what I'm saying? Just for USAID. You know what I'm saying? And so when you start putting shit in perspective for people, I'm not saying you're necessarily going to change their mind, but maybe they might say, you know what? I've been harping on this, you know, trans athlete shit or this USA thing. And it actually turns out that, you know, I haven't been able to feed my family. And maybe I can't feed them because they keep cutting the social safety net. Maybe I should start worrying about that. And then once we get my food situation taken care of, then I can start focusing on this other shit.
Yeah. To your point, VP, the Republicans, you know, the platforms like Breakfast Club and other places, especially the Breakfast Club or Charlemagne's Brilliant Idiots or whatever it is, they give the Republicans that platform and they take it.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of I don't know if these other like right wing platforms are inviting Democrats on. Like I know like there was a whole thing with the people were saying, why didn't Kamala go on Joe Rogan? She tried to go on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan basically fucked her around for a bunch, basically telling her, oh, she had to come to him, he couldn't come to her. Like the sitting vice president who's running for president says, hey, I want to be interviewed on your platform, and you say I can't travel to you, you got to come to me. What kind of shit
No,
is that?
yeah,
But
I'm
Kamala
with you.
went to him. That's why they did that rally they did in Houston. They didn't do that because they thought they were going to win Texas or they were trying to boost what's his face running against Ted Cruz, Alan Allred. That's not why they did that. They did that to put her in proximity of Joe Rogan so that way they could do the rally and do the Joe Rogan interview. And then Joe Rogan was saying, oh, well, if we do the interview, like my schedule is like jam packed. So we have to do it at like 6 a.m. And the Kamala folks are like, this is the vice president. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it ended up not happening. And then on the same day where they talked about his schedule being jam packed, you got to interview you at 6 a.m. He interviewed Trump for 3 hours. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
again,
No,
I don't
mean
know if these folks are being invited on, but they need to go on these platforms.
That being the highest, you know, level of it, obviously. But I mean, there are we can assume, and we don't know if they are being invited, but you know, there are ways we know at least to some degree, and if not, let us know. You know what I'm saying? We need to know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I reached out. They don't want to do it. Call Fox out. Call this person out.
Right. And I'm not
Call them out.
saying
You know what I'm
every
saying?
right wing platform, right? Like, I don't want to necessarily see Democrats on Real America News or OAN or Newsmax, because those places are just batshit crazy, right? But they need to go on Fox. Like, if one thing you remember from Joe Biden's administration is all those viral clips of Pete Buttigieg on Fox, regardless of how you feel about Pete Buttigieg's personal life, whether you thought he was a good Secretary of Transportation, good presidential candidate, whatever you thought, you was like, damn, this dude is kicking ass on Fox. It seems like, everything they throw at him, he's just like the fucking Matrix or some shit. He looks like Neo out there against these fools or whatever. They change the subject quick because they can't pin him down on anything or whatever. You need to see more Democrats doing that, going on Fox, going on places like a Joe Rogan. I wouldn't necessarily say Charlie Kirk or whatever, but like, Patrick Bet David, even though I don't really care for him, but they need to go on these platforms to let other folks hear their side of the message. Again, you might not necessarily be changing people's mind to make them say, I'm going to change the way I vote, but you can maybe impact what they care about. And then when these Republicans are pushing this nonsense, folks can say, yeah, I don't think that's what it is. I think you're exaggerating that. You said this thing is a huge problem, and I actually looked into that. It don't seem like it's that big of a deal. I heard Jasmine Crockett say that foreign aid spending is less than 1% of the budget. I looked into it, and that actually turns out true. But you've been making it seem like it was 90% of the budget, and I haven't been able to feed my kids. So what are we doing about that? Hey, I get my health care through Obamacare. You say you're going to get rid of it, but you haven't talked about a replacement. What are we doing about that? And that's the whole thing with these folks. They keep them angry. They keep them distracted. And so they're telling you the biggest problems in your life is DEI. It's trans athletes, right? It's the black guy who's the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, or the woman who's the chief of naval operations. It's the gay firefighter lady in LA.
Immigrants that's going to come into your house.
Immigrants that got killed last night, by the way.
Right. They're gonna take your guns. It's all this kind of stuff like that. Meanwhile, they're cutting off Medicaid or reducing it by $800 billion. They're gonna cut food stamps by 20%. Right. They're making folks return back to the office from working from home. They're firing all the people who do safety and all these kind of things that make your life works or whatever. You know what I mean? They keep you distracted with all that nonsense, so you don't pay attention to this stuff over here of them screwing you over and robbing you blind.
Yeah.
And now that they've given you somebody to hate, you pick your own pockets for them or whatever. There's a I don't know if I ever shared it with you or whatever. There's a quote from Lyndon Johnson when he talks about, like, if you give somebody something to hate or whatever, they'll basically like pick their own pockets for you or whatever. And it goes, where is it here? I'm trying to pull it up here. That's why I sound a little crazy as I'm talking. He says, here it is. He says, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, you give him somebody to look down on, he'll empty his pockets for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's essentially what Trump is doing here. He's giving these folks somebody to hate, and these folks are essentially picking their own pockets for him, ensuring that the people who they think are bad, for whatever reason, are stepped on, but they're only realizing, like I said earlier, that they benefit from this stuff too, and that they're also being stepped on.
Yep. Yeah, and that we see that every day in Florida. We see it online every day. I mean, like, I seen a dude pull up next to me at light yesterday with this Trump flag on his beat up ass truck, like, and you could look at him and tell that he's living in poverty. Probably lives in a manufactured home, a mobile home somewhere, not doing well. Like, he just looked terrible, and I'm like, dog, how can you support this guy? Like, he has zero parts of his brain thinking about your best interest. Like oh God, yo, it's painful, yo. It's painful to
Yeah.
see. It's painful to see.
It's and again, you know what I mean? Like I tell you guys, I tell folks all the time, I make no bones about it. I'm a liberal Democrat. You know what I mean? I have a point of view. I'm biased. So you have to take things I say with a grain of salt, do your own research, whatever, right? All the stuff that people say. But at the same time, I don't mess with Republican policy because they don't benefit me. And even from a policy standpoint, you guys know I care more about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just from who I am as an individual, being a black man in America, this party does not benefit me. The people who support them don't seem to care for me, and it's like Andrew Gillum said about DeSantis. I'm not calling Ron DeSantis a racist, but the people who are racist thinks he's racist. And if he's okay with having those people support, I can't be okay with him, And then when you take it to a policy standpoint, right? I have to look at it, in the state of Florida. You probably know this a lot better than I do because I'm a more recent homeowner than you. But every year since I've been a homeowner, I'm watching my property taxes go up. Anytime an insurance company wants to increase property tax, they have to get approval. Or I'm not property tax, homeowners insurance. Anytime these insurance companies want to increase premiums, they got to get approval from the government. So that means that every time I've seen my insurance rates go up, Ron DeSantis has said that that's cool. You know what I mean? At the same time, he's telling me that the stuff that I really need to be worried about in the state that I live in is the books that are on shelves, what people can read, trans people and, Hispanic folks and all this other nonsense that has never had a single iota of fucking impact to my life. But the money I have to shell out to pay for homeowners insurance, that does impact my life because it impacts how much I can spend in other areas in terms of, taking care of my family, maybe taking a vacation or, whatever, what I mean? The food we eat with prices going up, etc. And so it's stuff like that, which is why when it's time to vote, I say, you know what? I can't vote for this guy. And I think if more people looked at their own station in life in the situation of the state that they live in, it may make them vote a different way. I mean, maybe if you're in California, you may say, man, Democrats been running this state for 30 years and, it's crazy here. Let me try out this Republican guy. Maybe in New York, you might do the same thing. In Maryland, same thing. But in some of these red states, I mean, we've had Republicans in charges in outright control of the state for 30 years. And things have only gotten worse. But we keep putting them back in office or whatever. And, Democrats may need to come to Florida and pull a Donald Trump in Chicago. What the hell do you have to lose?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, now we're about to have a black dude running for governor, so they're gonna have a real decision to make now.
You know there is Trump is trying to get ahead of the primary, right? Because typically people announce and then he come out and endorse. Now, what we've seen happen sometimes is that the primary voters go a different route. So he's trying to endorse Byron Donalds now to prevent anybody else from running. You know what I'm saying? And in that way, his chosen candidate is already going to be the nominee. And he can basically, once he wins, because we're just a red state, he can make it seem like he crowned him.
Well,
but I'm pretty sure people are still going to get in. How good they're going to do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trump's endorsement in place, especially in a state like Florida, it carries a lot of weight. And so DeSantis wasn't doing well in 2018 in that primary. He wasn't the leader. And then he went on Fox News and kissed Trump's ass. And Trump endorsed. He released that commercial, the one with him reading Trump's book to his kids. And you remember that commercial? He did that, and then Trump endorsed him, and then boom, he shot up to the top of the field, won the primary, and then won the election. So,
but do you think DeSantis is done, or do you think he's going Senate or what?
I think he's going to run for Senate because he wants to run for president, and I don't think that he doesn't strike me as the type of person who doesn't want power. So he walks away from being governor and focus on running for president. So I think he's going to try to run for Senate in 26. And I think he'll have a good shot at it too. Because I mean, you know, most people don't know who actually Moody is. And this is the part that's going to really be funny, right? Is that I bet you during the campaign, DeSantis or whatever other Republican runs against her, they try to throw Trump at her. They're not going to do it like in his face, but like she was investigating the Trump university thing. The New York folks, they had evidence that Trump university scam screwed over Floridians. Mm-hmm. She started investigating it. Trump wrote her super PAC, a $25,000 PAC, or check, and then she shut the investigation down. And so I bet they throw that back in her face or whatever, like, hey, you know, this chick not fighting for you or whatever, you know. So they're gonna try to do it subtly though, but it's gonna be funny. So
yeah. All right. Well, I don't think we got time for bingeables today because we went on a movie tangent earlier. So we'll and I haven't started White Lotus, so we'll save that for next week.
You're fine. The first episode was just it was the first episode. Like, I don't remember all the first episodes being mad boring, but this one was like, damn, like this is just a lot of setup happening here. So,
great.
So you didn't miss much.
I also heard that they didn't renew The Circle for season 2, and I'm gonna have to look into, or for another season. So I'm gonna have to look into that because I'm heartbroken. They didn't say it was canceled, but they also haven't renewed it yet. So I'm wondering if it's just because Michelle's busy or what. But I need to look into that. You know, that's my guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think we're at a good spot, and so with that, I'm gonna hand you the reins to get us up out of here.
Hey everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us on this week's episode of the Cashworthy Podcast. Like we always say, man, send that text message, make that phone call, reach out to your people. You never know what they got going on in their lives, what's happening in their heads. You never know if your cousin's, you know, being bullied by 50 Cent online. So you definitely want to check in on them, make sure they're doing okay. With that being said, man, we appreciate you guys who tapped in with us live. We also appreciate the folks who are listening once the episode posts. We appreciate you taking that time. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at Castworthy. You can also find us on any of our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend and tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And, you know, wishing you and yours, you know, a good week. And we will see you guys next week with another fresh episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we're out. We love you. Peace.